This episode of the WP Minute is brought to you by Pressable. You know what the best hosting feels like? Nothing. No panic alerts. No mystery downtime. No, hey, is the site down? Slack messages. That's the Pressable experience. WordPress hosting so reliable you forget it's even there. We keep your site fast, secure, and up 100% of the time, so you can get back to building, selling, blogging, or binging cat videos. No judgment, whatever you want to do. Go to Pressable.com/WP Minute and try hosting that disappears in all the right ways. Pressable.com/WP Minute. Pressable.com/WP Minute. Thanks, Pressable, for supporting the show.
Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Whose WordPress Agency Is This Anyway? I'm Kurt Von Annen. I'm here with Toby Crines, the amazing Toby Crines. And I think we're going to have a really good episode for you today. Toby?
I think so too, Kurt. One of the questions I was wondering, this is a special early morning edition for us. They're going to get it whenever they get it. But it's 9 a.m. Central Time for both of us. And we've both been up, I don't know, I've been up since 5. So I'm already 4 hours into my day. How about you?
I was up past 2 and I was up again at 6:30. I don't know what's the matter with us. And we both seem rather giddy this morning. So this might be off the rails episode.
What other way is there to live? What time do you prefer to work?
You know, I prefer early mornings. I really do prefer early mornings. I don't prefer late nights, but sometimes that's the way it happens. There's something about getting up and getting going that to me is like inspirational and is for the rest of the day. Like, so I usually get up, cup of coffee, some read time, quiet time, a little bit of journaling, and then I start my day. But as long as I get up and get into it, then the rest of the day is kind of like sets the tone.
Mm-hmm.
But if I got to stay up late, I'm super productive. Like if my wife goes to bed, I'm super productive. Like if I'm working after hours, bam, bam, knocking things out. Next thing you know, it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning. But I don't really, I don't begrudge it because that was time that was super productive. I got a lot done.
I find that too. Like sometimes I'll put in time on weekends, for example, like Saturday morning, 6 to 10, and I'm like, I get a ton done that otherwise wouldn't get done. So I don't begrudge it either. There's this like weird thing about work-life balance. There's books and stuff and blogs that like, they really prioritize work-life balance. And I used to be really hardcore about it. Like, there's work and there's life. And now I'm like, I don't know. There's just kind of life. And work is just one facet of life. And we've got to do work the same way I made scrambled eggs for the kids today, you know? So like the same way I had to make scrambled eggs, I have to get work done today. Like
at 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, I literally just closed the windows on the computer, walked into my bedroom, put on my padded shorts, and walked out to the living room and told my wife, I'm going to go for a quick gravel ride. I'll be back in a couple hours. And she looked at me like I was insane, you know? But I was like, I'm not being productive in front of the computer. It's time to go for a ride. So I went for a ride yesterday, and that might be why I was working at, past midnight last night.
Yeah.
That's part of that work-life balance. You got to know, you have to be cognizant. You have to be self-aware enough to go, I'm just wasting my time right now. I'm not being productive. I got to switch gears.
Yeah. And I think like in a way that's one of the perks of owning a business. It's like some days you can, if you notice that you can, like there are days where I'm just like, I just can't work today, and it might be a Tuesday, it might be a Thursday, it might be a Friday, like I'm just like, I'm here, I'm trying, and I'm miserable. I'm just going to like close it down for the day. And, sadly, sometimes I won't even tell my team. I'll just be like, I'm just gone. And like, they don't know where I'm at. And like, I'm just like, I'll clean up the mess tomorrow.
Well, you brought up one of the most important points. You can't go broadcasting that you're taking off or you're doing whatever. People, they short circuit. They can't handle it. They when people hear, oh, Kurt went for a ride at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they lose their marbles. And if you tell them ahead of time, everybody's got an emergency. Oh, hey, before you go, I gotta hitch up real quick. No, you don't gotta hit me up real quick.
Right.
You weren't even thinking about any of this 4 minutes ago. So I stopped telling people. I used to be super responsible. And I used to tell people, oh, I'll be out of the office Tuesday and Wednesday next week, blah, blah, blah. And then Sunday at midnight is an emergency. Tuesday at midnight's an emergency. everything, the sky is falling, and then you end up rushed or harried or frustrated for whatever that moment of peace was you were going to take. And then you realize, no, that's just human nature. That's just human nature. If they think you're not available, the sky's falling. If they think you're there babysitting, everything, nothing's an emergency.
There's this theory that I've practiced here and there about out-of-office auto replies in your email. And the theory goes like this, like, if I can't help you, what good is it sending you a message right now saying I can't help you? And so there have been times where I've just been like, you know what, I'm going to try it. I'm just not going to have an auto reply. And like, I've seen no downside to that. I can see like the argument on the other side, like, well, you don't want to look like a complete jerk who's not responding. But like at the same time, it's true. Like it's just one more email for a lot of these cases that aren't urgent, maybe like where you're just like filling up someone's inbox with another message that doesn't mean anything.
Well, I want to go like a little bit deeper on that tangent you just created. So the auto response to me is a little bit overkill, and it comes back to how did we condition the client previously? So if clients get used to you're on call, you're there at the snap of a finger for every little thing, everything becomes, oh my God, I couldn't reach you, right? But groom them from the very beginning and say, oh, we typically have a 12 to 24-hour response time. Blah, 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 if it's an emergency. An emergency is your website is down or you cannot take in revenue. That's it. Those are the only emergencies. Everything else is an incidental. Or then you can text me or you can whatever, right? But you have to train your clients like right up front. What is an emergency? What is not an emergency? And then what is our process for non-emergency repairs?
Yeah, that's true. And here's another scenario. We've been changing our processes and people here at the Mighty Mo. And so it used to be you would email us and the developer would see the email and respond really quickly and possibly fix it. And it'd be 15 minutes and it would be fixed. You know, you sent the email, he sees it, he fixes it, he replies, it's fixed, 15 minutes. Now you send an email to us, our project manager gets it. She talks to a developer. She responds to the email saying, like, our developer's working on it. I'll let you know. Here's what it's going to cost. Here, pay this invoice, whatever it is. There's so the process has now gone from 15 minutes to a day, maybe at times. And we have one client right now who's struggling with that. And so we still have great communication, but it's like we've trained them in one way and now we're changing it. Have you ever experienced that? Like how it's a weird thing because it's a client we really like I really like. I can't speak for anyone else, I guess. I think they're great, but and I feel bad, but at the same time I'm trying to build a business and this is one of the ways I'm trying.
From a leadership perspective, and we tend to go down this route every now and then, you and I. From a leadership perspective, I always think in terms of relationships over transactions, right? So if I'm so focused on transactions all the time, they're not going to happen. But if I focus on relationships and I don't worry about transactions, the transactions occur naturally, right? So how do those transactions occur naturally? It comes from that whole emotional bank account thing that I talk about, where am I making emotional deposits with my clients or am I making emotional withdrawals? Am I always putting them in some kind of a stressful conversation or am I putting them at ease? And so when you change your processes, that's when, especially if it's like a long-term customer that's had things easier or a shortcut, for 5 years, and now you're going to be like, oh, we've got this new process. That's when you have to be a spin artist, right? You have to say, oh, hey, I want to get you on a call. I want to go over a new process with you. Hey, you're one of our valued clients. You've been with us forever. You're one of our founding people. But I got to let you know about this new process because our team's grown and we have to make sure we don't want you to get lost in the cracks. So in order for you to not get lost in the cracks, we have to follow this new process. And then they're like, now I get it, right? Yeah. Because they're spoiled. They're used to you when you had 3 clients and now you've got 50.
Yeah, and I failed to do that in this case. And I bet you that would have helped.
It's emotional deposits and withdrawals sooner or later. So every relationship in business, you're going to ask for a withdrawal sooner or later. You're going to ask for more money. You're going to ask for more time. You're going to ask for something. You're going to ask to make a withdrawal from that person emotionally. And so if you think of every conversation as either being a deposit or a withdrawal, you start to realize, oh crap, I got to make a whole lot more deposits with people because the more positive I can make my account, the bigger the withdrawal I can ask for later. If you ask for a big withdrawal and you haven't made enough deposits, you're going to be overdrawn on your account. You're going to lose your client.
Yeah, and I imagine, well, humans I think are like hardwired to like overweigh the bad stuff, like the withdrawals. And so you have to, like, for every withdrawal you got to do 10 deposits probably.
Yeah, it's got to be up there. There's times where sometimes I think about my corporate newsletter, or I do lives every Thursday, right? So my live every Thursday. Sometimes I feel guilty, like, am I spamming these people? But I look at the open rate, and I cover this a lot in my lives. My open rate through my weekly email right now is over 50%. So if I have an email list with an open rate that's higher than 50%, it's not spam.
Right.
People are opening it. People want to see it. And then when it doesn't get sent, that becomes the emotional withdrawal. Now they've actually come to look for it.
Yeah.
So there's just different ways that we can stay in touch, or we can communicate. And then we business owners, we have to look at our results. So if my open rate was 3%, I would be like, I got to change my content or my frequency or something, because right now it looks like I'm spamming the crud out of this audience.
Yep. I've been surprised by I don't know the open rate, but I know people are opening them because I get replies to the managed WP reports. They have like uptime, backups, plugins that were updated, page speed score, some SEO stuff. And like, I would never open that personally. But like, I got an email yesterday, and it was like, hey, why is our page speed down? We just got your report. Thanks. And I was like, you opened that? Awesome. But that's a deposit, like you're saying.
Well, and you just segued. You don't even know it yet, but you just segued into our next topic. First off, what causes you to have to band-aid a website? And then what do you describe as band-aiding a website?
Right. So this is like an age-old question. Mainly, I might just be a developer question. Because if you didn't know all the options, because you and I look at it, we've been in it a long time. When a website's broken, let's say a slider is broken. Here's an example. Slider is broken on a client site. My solution, let's say they're using Elementor. I'd be like, let's just find a different Elementor plugin, do the slider, change it. I have a guy on my team who's like, no, I'm just going to fix the bug. And I'm like, okay. And what is one a Band-Aid? Another classic example is in the WordPress, you have the customizer where you can just add CSS. My CSS customizer is full. Like, I don't know that if it has a 1 million character limit, we're really close.
I hope you put notes in.
I do, actually. But it's like, is that a Band-Aid? Maybe. It depends who you ask and what the criterion are, criteria.
Well, I want the listeners to recognize how human we are. So we all have great advice, but few of us follow all of our own advice. I'm always telling people, if you want to change this or change that or change the other thing, I really encourage you to fire up a staging site, play all you want in there, break everything, and then if things work, move it to production. Last Thursday, and Thursdays are my live days. I'm on Zoom all day Thursday. So right before one of the live calls on Thursday, right before the first live call on Thursday, I was like, my website should be faster. Like, it's amazing how our ADHD takes over, right? I'm like, I'm an agency. My website's actually kind of slow right now. I should try and speed up I should see what's slowing down my website. I should probably do some page speed work. So I open up page speed and I do the test, and yeah, it's slow. And I'm like, right, but I got to be live in just a moment.
Yep.
So I go, you know what? I got this chatbot thing. No one's really using it right now. I'm going to turn that off and see what happens. Boom. I got like 8 points on the page speed report. So what happened? That was that Toby, that was a big dopamine hit.
Oh yeah.
That was like putting an exhaust on a muscle car and seeing an extra 10 horsepower, right? That's cheap horsepower. So yep. I was like, what else is in there?
Right.
So I got this database cleaner. I deactivated and removed that. And I went up like another 2 points. Boom, we're in. We're in like Flint, baby. What else can we do? So I clicked a few things and clicked a few of this and a few of that. And I'm watching the clock. And I'm like, well, I got to go live in like 4 minutes. And I'm like, all right, I can do one more thing. And then my page speed shot up to like 94. And I was like, right on. Like, that is amazing. I am such a genius. And then I went to my homepage and it was gone.
It's the white screen of death. Yep.
And I was like, Huh, that's not the result I was looking for.
Yep.
So I dove into my server, and all of my website's timeline backups have been working correctly, except for that website. So then I was going to go to my manual backup that I had saved from last month. And then I was like, well, I don't want to go back a month. So then I started chatting with support at the server, trying to see what they were going to do for me, and launching live calls and being on podcasts and babysitting this transition and Band-Aid for the entire day.
Yeah, because you needed to squeeze, and it's like, to what end? Like, okay, you squeezed a few points on your page speed. Who cares?
Well,
Like,
not really, because what really happened, Toby? The server made good on the backup. We were right back where I started.
now you're back.
I'm right back.
You didn't do any work at this point because
no,
just
and
went
that's why I was
backwards.
up late last night. Last night I was like, I got to fix this. So there was like 2 or 3 pages where in bricks everything looked great on the front end. It just looked like jarbled code, and I was like, I have no idea. I don't know if this is a frames thing. I don't know if this is an HTSS thing. I don't have the time. I got too many other projects I'm working on, so I band-aided it. I took down a couple pages. I made a couple of quick pages. I filled in the menu and went to bed.
This is like the classic sin here that you've committed was taking on a very complex problem without the proper space. Page speed, very complex. This is like a classic developer scenario where we're like, we do something like you deactivated that plugin. You're like, well, now I know how to fix it. And all you've done is got lucky one time.
Yeah. That dopamine's a crazy thing.
Oh,
so that led to a late night of let's rebuild these pages real quick. Let's get this menu filled back out. And now my page speed's respectable. Right? It's not super fast. It's not slow. My page speed isn't going to be why a customer doesn't sign up for Manana no Mas now. Right. So that's good. But the whole idea of band-aiding, when you have a project that say gets 10 years old, and I'm just going to shoot this out for other people, how much of the content in your database and server do you think is just junk after 10 years of a site being up?
95%.
I was looking at it last night going, I don't even remember making these pages.
Yeah. We had a project where our SEO guy went through, and I didn't feel good deleting it, but I created a new post type called unused post type. And I was like, just anything that belongs in there, don't delete it, just put it there, and then I at least know it's there. And so literally I have a pile of junk. It's like a closet that I threw a bunch of stuff. It's not indexed. I'll never look at it again, but at least I feel good knowing it's there.
Yeah. It's like when you move and you get a storage facility, and then 8 years later you're like, hey, we never went back to storage to get the boxes out.
You see it on that TV show, Storage Wars. You're like, hey, that's my guitar.
Well, you just said guitar, so tell the folks what you're doing.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, pleased to announce the world premiere announcement here of my new dad band. We're starting a cake cover band. And I only brought it up here because I was thinking, why do we run a business? Why do we do this thing? And I think the only reason we do it, or go to work, it doesn't even have to be running a business, but you go to work, the only reason we do it is for the other stuff, generally speaking. In my case, I was like, I've wanted to start a cake cover band for, we'll say 25 years, but it might be a little longer than that. And I've kind of always dreamed of it, and finally doing it. And it was just all the stars aligned. It wasn't even super intentional. It happened over the course of a few months where I was at a cabin, I met this guy and he plays trumpet and he likes cake. And then I saw him again at a music school thing for our kids. And there was this other guy there who heard us talking about the cake cover band. And so now we have 3 people, and this guy's like, I know a drummer. So now we have a band. So over the course of a few months, we put together this band, and we had our first practice. It was amazing. We went through 3 songs, and then we're doing 3 more next time. And slowly but surely, we're going to ramp up to a gig in somebody's backyard.
I am amazed at the things I'm learning about you through this podcast experience, Toby. And the weird part is Cake has so much meaning to. I used to race motorcycles, and everyone in the pit sings that song. He's going the Death Star.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
So what do you work for? What are the tangential outcomes of your work that are not work related for you?
I am such a scatterbrained person. It's not funny. So I really like bicycling. I like camping. I built the camper van out of a SWAT truck. So that's really cool. Everyone thinks I'm the FBI when I show up somewhere. I can flip on the lights and everything. But we go camping, we go mountain biking, we do things. It reminds me of that story, and I'm sure people have heard this before. But like, there's a guy fishing, like in a little village fishing somewhere, and this guy comes up and says, "Hey, you should start a business, and you should this, and you should that." And he goes, and then goes through this whole life story of growing a business and hiring people, and this. So then you could retire. And he goes, "Then what do I do when I retire?" He goes, "You go to a little small island and you fish." He goes, "I'm doing that already." That's kind of like where my brain went. Like the first time I heard that anecdote, I was like, I am already on the island fishing. And the work is the work, sure, but I still get out. I still gravel bike, road bike, mountain bike. I mean, I love cooking. I love beer and red wine. And so if I like that much in calorie intake, I have to find a way for the calories to leave. So bicycling and going to the gym is it for me.
Yeah. I was thinking like one thing that I haven't done over the last 15 years that I'm really working on now is like just building more friendships. And like, so I've just started like inviting people over. So Saturday I was like, I'm just going to invite people over. And my wife's not super into it. Like, in fact, she's kind of against it. Like, and that's why I haven't done it, because I've been like respecting her space. I'm like, no more. I'm going to do this. And if she wants to get a hotel, fine. Like, that's where I'm at with it. And anyway, it's been like, this is like, so I play in a dad band and I am inviting a few people over on the weekends here and there. And it's been really nice. Like, that's why I work, in addition to some other things.
That is huge. I think that's the message. That should be our theme for the whole show today, actually, is how to expand past your cubicle, your workspace, your screen, whatever. Most business owners that I know have no friends. They have people they see at the entrepreneur meetup or whatever, but like, let's face facts, life gets rough. You get pulled over for a DUI. You don't have a friend to call. I also am we're in the middle of building a big project in our yard. Not in the middle. We're at the very beginning of building we're getting a 20-foot container and we're converting it into an outdoor cook center because I want to invite people over and entertain and do all these things. And just like you said, I mean, female spouses in a relationship are like, I don't want all these people over here all the time. I don't want to clean this house all the time. I don't like having people. But then once everyone comes over, they love it. Like it's they dread before it happens, but they love when it happens.
That's my experience too. Yeah.
I just have to get over that hump every time of that 4 or 5 hours before everybody shows up is a disaster.
Yeah.
I'm all stressed out. But then after everyone's here, and we pop open a couple bottles of wine and get the grill going, everybody's happy.
Yeah. It also is, if you read Lord of the Rings, there's the Ents and the Entwives, and similar story there. The Ents just want to go and talk to everybody, and the Entwives want to arrange everything properly.
I think that is the third Lord of the Rings reference you made in this show series.
I love Lord of the Rings.
Well, okay, let's jump into let's switch gears. Agency people, we're talking about business. What is your preferred tool to communicate with staff and clients?
Yeah, it's... So we use email, pretty much email for all client communication. We're available via phone, but that's pretty rare. And even in those cases, we send them a calendly.com link usually. If they call and I see it, I will answer. And oftentimes I'll call them. Not often, but sometimes I will call them when needed if it's like something that's be better addressed via phone. But email primarily for clients, and we just have... So our support at themightymo.com is the primary address where they email, and then right now we're using Basecamp. However, we're switching we use Basecamp right now for all of our internal communication. So anytime we don't use email internally, pretty much. We just use Basecamp. We're going to switch to ClickUp, and I actually don't know how that's going to impact our communication. I've handed off that project, and I'm just trusting that it'll all work out,
Well, you've got somebody on your team that wants to use Slack.
I do, actually, and this is like a weird thing because so I think Slack is like, doesn't make any sense for businesses. That's what I think. Like, it makes sense if like I should say it makes sense if you want to have real-time conversation with someone like we're doing now. Like, but you want to have it. I know they have video now built into it, but you want to have a real-time conversation. Great. It's just a chat room. Everything gets buried. It's like a chat room with a search engine. Great. And it also has this like interruption mentality. Like it's going to send you push messages on your phone. It's going to like ping you on your desktop if that's where you're at or whatever. It's going to interrupt you and take you away from whatever it is you're working on. So the one thing I like about Basecamp, and this is the person that asked was a newer employee for us. He's like, and I think the gist of it was like, I have questions that need to be answered right now. And I'm like, my opinion is like, great, we're not using Slack. Figure out a way to get those questions answered with the tools we have. And we have interrupting-ish tools. Like he could ping us on Google Chat, for example. That would interrupt us.
Yeah.
He could do all sorts of things. We have tools in Basecamp that are kind of interrupting, but not necessarily. But so I don't know. I just think Slack is like, and tools like I don't know. Maybe there are other tools like Slack, but like I never understood it. Like it's not a good way to hold to have an asynchronous communication, like, which is what I'm after. How about you?
I know I talk a lot about WordPress, but I use a SaaS platform as a client portal. And so it does my contracts and it has a messaging platform in it. So I condition my clients to use that for communication. It'll ping my email, hey, you've got a message, right? So it'll come through an email. So I won't go for days without seeing something. But I don't like the idea of I especially don't like the idea of putting like customers and stuff in Slack. I don't want everybody talking to everybody, right? So I try to keep that channel separate. And that SaaS platform works really, really well for me because it does project management and Gantt charts and it does all this other stuff. And I think the clients really like it. Like I've asked them, like, does this make sense to you? You can see the percentage that were done on the project. You can see, you have visibility of these things. And they like that. We also added fluent support to Mañana No Mas. So now people can actually sign in with their email and they can add a ticket. And then anyone on the team that's assigned can work that ticket, right? So that works good. So that's like a one-to-many communication for clients. So that's good. Internally, I tried Slack and I'm on a bunch of Slack channels and I just don't have enough volume to support Slack to make it engaging at all. And it's just a distraction and it's an annoyance. So yeah, for the contractor conversations that we have, it's either in that portal when they get assigned to a task through the project management system, or it's going to be an email or a text. And we use some offshore help. So a lot of it ends up in WhatsApp.
Oh, interesting. We had over the years have had people try to bring us into their system. Sometimes it's Slack, sometimes it's something else. But like, I have always declined because I'm like, there's a lot of like assumptions built into any group of people who are communicating.
Man, you work for us now.
Yeah, that and like we communicate this way. Why didn't you respond in this manner in this time frame? Whereas at the Mighty Mo, unless you specifically say, like, our expectation is like it's not urgent. And so you can take a full day to think it out and respond, and I'm not going to bug you. If it's urgent, I will just say, hey, this is urgent. Like, I'll say that in the message.
Yeah. We're very similar. We're very similar in that regard. Even if this is going to sound so mean, but it's part of the conditioning. You got to what are things going to look like in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? And so you can't respond to everybody in 30 seconds and then condition them to that response and then box yourself into that expectation.
Yep.
Like you just can't do that. You have to think in terms of what would a business look like even. It's not fake it till you make it. It's not that at all. It's how do I plan for expansion and scale?
Yeah, interesting. There's also like this, we've all experienced it, a business strategy where they're going to be really good at first. And then they're going to give you less and less and less. And we've experienced that, particularly, let's say, in our industry with hosting companies over the years. This company's great. And then, like, all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, it's just like gradually you're like, is this getting slower? Is their support getting worse? What's happening here?
Is their price going up? These sites, and they're so fast.
Yeah. So I also don't want to, like, it's a strategy. Like, but I guess it's so like in theory, you could have a strategy where like the first year you're with us, we're going to like respond to everything. And then, it seems like it'd be tough to manage for a company of my size, our size. But like, I could see that going, if you were a big company, you could implement that. I mean, they're doing it with these crappy AI bots right now. Like, let's say you bought an Apple computer and you're looking for support, or some company that used to offer good support. Now you're just getting the AI bot, and it's hard to find the contact button.
There's a lot of folks now that there's no phone number, there's no email address, and you are just locked into this cycle of nonsense. And then, 20 responses in, it's like, hey, would you like to chat with a support representative? Yeah, I would have liked to have done that 47 minutes ago.
Right. I got a phone call the other day. It was an AI call or something, because like I thought I was talking to a human and it wasn't. Like, what the heck is going on here? And, AI can't help you. Like, really, like they can't really do any. All they can do is get you to a human, like that. It makes it more efficient for them, but not for you. Like they're offshoring the headache. They're offshoring headaches to you as the caller. Yeah.
Well, so that's twice that we've mentioned offshore in a moment. So let's jump onto this. You have, should I hire a bunch of part-time contractors or a few full-time employees?
Yeah, so this is just, I think, like a business choice that like is open to us. And I know I've gone both way, one way and then the other way, one way, the other way over the years. The Events Calendar Pro, that plugin, that was built with a bunch of contractors. And so like I point that as like a success story. They had processes built out internally to do that, and they made it a huge success. And then they sold it, and then it became 5 or 6 full-time employees managing the whole thing. And I don't know where they're at today. I imagine it's still a few full-time employees. Could be wrong. And I recently went through this where late last year, I had a bunch of contractors, and even early this year, and I slowly have decided to extend, offer a small number of them full-time employment. And I was thinking, like, trying to figure out my reasons for that. And like, there's pros and cons with contractors. The pro is like, you can save some money because you're only paying them when they work, and they don't get vacation. You're not paying vacation. And oftentimes you can get a good deal on their time and all this. There's no overhead. Once you're done, you're done. The downside is you have to find them all the time because they're not loyal to you because you're not loyal to them. And if you want them to be available in a pinch, you kind of need full-time employees, I think. Not to say you couldn't figure it out the other way, but that's been my experience. How do you do it? Do you have any full-time employees right now?
I had a couple, and I do not now. I have wow, this is where Kirk gets to sound negative. So I've brought people in before, and they'll be like brand new, like brand new to the space. And I'll be like, let me show you our processes. Let me show you how we do this. And it's someone that has an interest in it, or someone that I thought had artistic ability for the design side of the business or something. And I'm like, well, these are some of the tools we use, and this is this, and this is it. You start showing them some stuff. And next thing you know, they're walking around like, I could do this better than you. Like, I could run my own business. Why am I profit sharing with you? I could get my own clients. And it's like, wow, okay, I'm either a really good mentor, I'm either a really good trainer and mentor, or this person is crazy. The idea that someone brand new to an industry can instantly adopt 22 years of experience and expertise is lunacy to me. But it's happened more than once where I've brought somebody into the office and I've worked with them. And then you hear, oh, they're doing a side gig, right? And you think, oh, whatever, you're doing a side gig, not a big deal, right? And then you find out, well, they're doing a side gig, but it's a client that actually came through your lead magnet, right? And now you're like, wait a minute. You can't be taking clients out of the business, know? And then I go, was it the pay? Am I not paying you enough? Because I think I'm paying you handsomely. No, it's not that. It's just, why take a portion when I could have all of it? Well, then I guess you could have all of it. Go do your thing.
Right.
Go see how you do. And then each of those times, and they probably listen to this now, but each of those times they failed miserably. Yeah. Absolutely failed miserably because they didn't have the patience to put the skin in the game. And so I've actually gone another direction. I'm in the middle of launching an agency launch organization here in town because I want this to be like a tech hub in Kansas. And so I've approached the city. The city's like, that's an amazing idea. And I'm like, I'll just teach people how to run an agency and but like with the intent of they're going to go start their own agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to get all the startup projects and all of the low-hanging fruit that comes through. And then the big enterprise stuff with the e-learning jobs will stick with Mañana no Mas because they won't have the capacity to do it.
Right. That makes sense. I wonder, like, the idea of people, your employees, like, getting in that mindset and leaving, like, how much of that is cultural? Like,
there's so much easy button nonsense on the internet right now. And I say it all the time, right? There is no easy button. The Passion IO ads are still coming to me. I must mention it too much on the internet. But, if you're not making $50,000 a month, with no experience and no business, well, then you don't even have a business. And it's like, okay, that's crazy. It's lunacy. Just the expectations. My daughter is 20. She moved to Kansas. She's going to be mad if I'm putting her on blast, but she chose not to go to school. She wanted to be an ice skating coach. Great. She got certified to be an ice skating coach. She didn't like the management at the skating rink in Kansas. So now she's not working there anymore. She has her own coaching clients, whatever. But she got a job at a big chain. As soon as she gets the job at the big chain, she's like, I love it. I love it. It's so amazing. 6 weeks later, she's like, the guy that owns this is an idiot. Just like, this is wrong. That's wrong. I'm like, and I told her, I said, baby girl, you're young. You've had like 3 real jobs and you haven't liked any of your bosses. You're not someone that's going to be good at working for other people. You're just not. And then she's like, maybe I should go into the military. I'm like, if you think you don't like a job, you're really not going to like being told what to do 24/7 by people you think aren't smart.
Right.
And it's just, but I'm watching her, and this is not disparaging against her. It's the culture. It's this idea that you see a glimpse of something from the outside and you make so many assumptions that I could do it better, or they're not, sharp. They're not smart. They're not committed. They're not intelligent. But the people making those judgments have no idea what's going on in the core of what has been grown from infancy.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember sitting at a coffee shop in 2002. I was in LA and I was playing in a band out there, and some guy was like lecturing me on how this coffee shop is doing it all wrong and they're going out of business. I think he was an employee there. He's like, I could fix this, and this. And at the time I was just like, whatever. But now I'm looking back, I'm going, I don't think you have a clue how coffee shops work. And like, yeah, there's this person's going out of business because all coffee shops go out of business, like 90% anyway,
When I worked at Suzuki, big organization, right? I had staff, and that staff would not stop barraging me with their needs. I need a new camera. I need a new laptop. I need a new this. This is never going to succeed without A, B, C, D, and E. And I'm thinking, they've been around for over 100 years. Like the people at the main office, they know what their goals are. They know what they want to do, right? So, and they're executing. You might not like the results of that execution, but, newsflash, I stopped working there in 2020 and they're still in business, right? They're still going. So,
yeah.
So whether I liked it or didn't like it, they had a process. They knew what their goals were and they executed.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. How do you set goals? Like, because I just said Suzuki has these goals, right? And they're executing and they're still around. The coffee shop's going out of business.
Right. I don't set goals like in a manner that makes any sense. Like, I know I want to be in business next year and I would like to make a little more money next year compared to this year. And I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure in order to do that, I need to do more sales stuff and marketing stuff. And in order to do more marketing stuff, I need other people to do more of the other stuff. And so part of my goal, probably my biggest goal this year, is to figure out how to do more marketing stuff and sales stuff and how to like maintain enthusiasm for that. Because in the past I've tried and I just lose enthusiasm and I end up like just going back to me and one other person. And the classic version of the Mighty Mo is that, like, but I'm trying to power through it and figure out like how to stay in that marketing function forever or long term. That's my goal, I guess. It's like I want to stay in that marketing and sales function and do more and more of that and less of the other stuff.
Speaking as someone that does a lot of consulting with business, that is super important as a business owner. Do you love the marketing and the sales, or do you love the creative, the work, right? Or do you just really love at the end when you help another business find success through your product? And so if you think about those three major verticals within your business structure, if it comes down to I'm really not into the sales and marketing, like I thought I was, but I'm not. It turns out I'm really into delivering the finished product. Like that's my favorite thing. I have seen and I've consulted with business owners where it's like, hey, you need to step down. Like you're not the CEO. Well, you need to hire a CEO. You need to bring in a partner or hire a CEO or a sales general manager or a whatever, pay them handsomely to do that. And then they can fill that top of funnel thing for you. And then you can focus on what your skill set is, right? You can do the execution and the delivery. And sometimes that works out really good because some people just aren't wired for sales. Sometimes I think I am not wired for sales. And then I go to an after hours here in Hutchinson and meet a new business owner. And, 45 minutes later, the party's over and we're still talking and having a beverage. So it's like, obviously it's in me somehow, right? So I keep, like you, I keep forging that path of where I'm the head of it and I'm running it. But I wonder how long I'm going to keep on that path.
Yeah. It's a great question, but I also wonder too, like there's with any job and any relationship with anything, there's a certain amount of stuff that you have to do that you don't like. And this is where it's tough for me. Let's say my marriage. My wife's amazing. And I also there are days where I'm just like, if I do this, I know she's going to yell at me for that. Oh gosh, this sucks. But I kind of try to see the big picture on it. And I think it's the same. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't feel like I'm in love with sales. I think I love helping people realize bigger, they can achieve bigger stuff and love helping people achieve those things. And I think for me, maybe the sales and marketing is just the crap I have to do to get to that other thing. And by the way, the other thing is also make more money and play more music with my band and this other stuff too. So I put it all kind of together in one, but I don't know. Is it even possible? This idea, do what you love, is that even a thing? Because I'm old now and I'm kind of jaded. I'm that's not a thing for 99.9% of people.
It's not a thing for 99.9% of the people, but I have seen it for the 0.1%. And when I look at the sacrifice they made to actually make it happen and then find success in it, it's not easy. It took work. I knew a young lady in Colorado, semi-professional, that hated her job, everything. And then I hadn't seen her in a while. And I'm like, wow, where'd she go? She moved to Australia. She does scuba diving lessons on the coral reef down there. That's her. She goes, I love scuba diving. I love that. And then she moved to Australia and just started this thing. That was like living in a car, being homeless, eating ramen as a grown adult, just cashed out of life and said, I'm just going to go figure this out.
Yeah.
And then after a few years of hard knocks, thriving business, financially solvent, all those things. Yeah. But so many people aren't willing to make the sacrifice required up front for the payment later.
Yeah, but even in that example, she's running a business. Oh, so she has to file taxes. She probably doesn't love that. Oh, she has an employee answering the phone maybe, or some scheduling website down. Is she?
But you bring up an interesting point. So many things in business, we could create processes or we could create workarounds for that. I hated collecting money. I still to this day hate it. If I say, hey, I'll do this for you for $2,000 and then I do it and then I send you the invoice and a week goes by and I don't have $2,000, I'm pretty ticked. And then I'm like, okay, here's a reminder email. Okay, now I got to call you. Now, God forbid I bump into you at a live event somewhere. Where's my $2,000? I made it a point back in 2008 when Mañana No Mas was born. When we changed our name, we changed our process. Mm-hmm. We don't touch a keyboard until your check clears.
Yep.
Done. And so now I could have either hired somebody for accounts receivables, right? Because I was tired of being a collector. So I could hire someone for accounts receivables and have that added expense and then trickle that down to everybody. or I could leave my pricing kind of the same and just tell everybody they pay up front.
Yeah, love it. Here's a couple of things I'm doing that might be interesting to our listeners. This is just like this week. So I realized part of the sales thing, I've realized like, gosh, I hate creating proposals. And just this week I had another one, and I invested like 3 hours and I was still at the beginning. And I was like, gosh, this sucks. And so I went on a couple of forums. I went on the WP Minute forum, Slack channel, and I also went on a couple other places and just asked, how are you all handling this? And what I ended up doing, and I got to thank the communities for this, because it's something that, like, huge shift in thinking about proposals that changed my whole proposal process. The gist of it was my proposals had, oh, you asked for X, Y, and Z. Here it is. Here's like a very clear description of what it is. It's a really long proposal. Like, we sent one out that was 40-something pages, and it had very in-depth stuff. And here's the price for all the stuff. All these 40 pages will cost X amount of dollars. That's what I was doing up until yesterday, when I was like, what if I didn't do any of the specifics and I didn't have any line to sign, but like I just like had like a 1 or 2 pager that just kind of ironed out high level details. And so that's what, and then I did that. That took me like an hour and a half. I sent that to my artist. I'm like, put this in Canva, make it look good. And so I haven't looked at it yet, but I imagine I'm going to log in today and I'm going to have this finished proposal ready to send to the client. It's going to look great. It's going to be 2 pages or whatever. And so I think that'll help as I figure out how to do the sales stuff. Another thing, I hate paying people. I don't mind paying them. I want to pay them. I hate the physical act of like logging into wise.com and being like, okay, what do I do? And then like, how much does this person get? How much does that person get? And then I send the payments, and it takes like an hour to do that work. And I'm just like, I'd rather not do that work. So I was talking to my bookkeeper, who by the way, it's a whole other thing. I hired a bookkeeper this year. I had a bookkeeper, but they weren't like doing a lot. And so I found another one, and this person has ideas. She's like, why don't I do that for you? And I was like, yeah. And then she's like, do you have clients that I could follow up with if they're not paying? I'm like, yes, I do, actually.
Yes, I do.
So she's now going to do those things. She's going to set up the payments. She's not going to click send, but she's going to set them up. She's going to follow up with the invoices that are past due. And I'm like, this sales thing's suddenly getting more interesting to me. Like,
yeah, because other stuff's coming off your plate.
Mm-hmm.
When I worked corporately, I worked with another young lady. She loved spreadsheets. Like, I've never seen that before in my life, right? And I've seen it since. But when I first met her, I remember she would be like, she'd say, hey, you don't have to do it that way. Just give me all that stuff and I'll put it in a spreadsheet for you. And I'll put some VLOOKUP and some functions in it. And I was like, what? Because as a corporate training manager, I was like, I got to manage all these students and grades and quiz attempts and stuff, right? Uh-huh. She was like, no, I'll put it in a spreadsheet. And then what we'll do is we'll put a webhook in it and it'll bring it over automatically. And I was like, whatever. And it was amazing and it worked. And that's when it hit me like a ton of bricks. People really do have different things they like. Just because I think something sucks and I would never want to do it doesn't mean someone else wouldn't be thrilled to do it. Right. And so I have really put my energies into, hey, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And I used to have that mentality of I need to be better rounded and I need to work on my weaknesses. And now I'm more like, you know what? I'm going to forge forward on my strengths. I'm going to do what I know I can execute well. And I'm going to backfill the stuff that I suck at.
Yeah.
And I just offload that stuff to other people. I have a general idea of how things work and what they do. But no, they're going to do that.
Yeah. One of my strengths, let me describe how I learned it was my strength first. I used to work in politics, and anytime there was a crying lady in the office, they would send me in to talk to her. They'd be like, send Toby in. What's the cooler or whatever, that movie where the guy stands there, and that was me. But I realized, like, in hindsight, like I really enjoy talking to women in distress or something like that. Don't enjoy it, but like I feel like I have a lot of empathy and like I do really well in those situations. And way better at that than like the cold-hearted business conversations. And yeah, I'm with you. Like, part of what I've tried to do, I guess part of my success has been like that I've leaned into that, or I try to really like get people who need someone. Maybe a lot of my clients probably need someone to sit there and listen to them, and I'm a good fit for those clients who need that. I think your strength is something. I don't know if we might have just had a tech issue, but what do you think your talent is? Like the talent you're bringing, the main talents that you're bringing to the business. They're like, I'm guessing it could be code, but oftentimes it's not like coding.
It's not code. I'll take that mystery out of it for you. It's not code. I learned it in the automotive industry. I have two things. I can take something that seems very complicated and communicate it in a clear, concise way. Like wherever the audience is from, I can make it understandable, whatever that is. And I think it's because of all that different experience in life, right? And then the other thing is, much like you with the crying lady in the office, when I was in the automotive industry and customers would come in, like, typical, like what you see, like TikTok videos, right? Angry, throwing things, like people are, I brought my car in here 2 weeks ago and you got to give me my car back and blah, blah. I say, hey, no problem. Why don't you come in the office? We'll talk about it real quick. And then 15, 20 minutes later, the door opens, we're shaking hands and patting each other on the back, and the customer's leaving. And all the service writers on the service drive would be like, what happened? Did you give him his car back for free? Like that? No. He wants us to put a new motor in. He's going to pay us for it. They'd be like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I just listened to what he had to say, and we offered some solutions, and they said yes. And then the service writer's like, you got to teach me how to do that. And now I run an agency. So, yeah, I got out of the car business as quick as I could. It only took 20 years. But yeah, those are my two strengths, is like overcoming conflict, identifying where that conflict, what's the root cause of the conflict? That's the strength. What's the root cause of all this anger? And I got I call it like muscle memory, like verbal muscle memory, right? When someone's really upset, a lot of times I just ask them, I go, look, I'm just here to help you with this situation. And I get the impression you're really angry you're not angry at me, right? So what are you angry at? And how can we come to a resolution together? And then usually people go, yeah, I'm not really pissed at you. I'm pissed at the situation. Right. So, okay. So let's identify the situation. Let's put together, like, what are the next steps to fix the situation? And then let's just figure out, like, do you have the budget to cover that or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
that's great stuff. We're nearing the end here. I just wanted to ask, before we go, how do you as an agency owner handle the 4th of July and other major holidays?
I'm not a holiday person. The only reason I celebrate holidays is because I'm married with children and the family makes me. And like, I'm a believer. I go to church. I volunteer at church. I do all these things. And Christmas still to me is just some other day on the calendar. I have to go shopping because I'm married with kids. I'm just not into holidays. So to me, it's not a big deal. I'm still doing lives. I'm still doing things this week. I'm still running my business. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to cash out and go for a mountain bike ride later too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not big on holidays. Personally, to me, they could come or go. If my wife is attached to a certain holiday, I will force myself to get into it and celebrate it and do it, like Christmas lights and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's not in me. It's not in my makeup.
Yeah.
Growing up, I didn't have parents that made life fun in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was thinking, so my employees are all in the Philippines right now, and they don't celebrate the 4th of July, but like there's no work for them to do right now. So like do I give them the time off, or do we don't really have a vacation policy, and one guy just took 4 days off, so I'm like, I don't think I need to give them the day off. They can take time off whenever they need to, and they have their own holidays, their own Independence Day and all that.
The other country thing is really unique, and I've said it before. I will go out of my way to try to keep money in the States. I will go out of my way to try and hire somebody here and keep the money local. But I'm not paying you as a freelancer. I'm not paying you agency rate to be a freelancer and just do a task. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Right.
So a lot of times my money ends up going somewhere else. And their holidays, their work style, when you have someone, to your point, that's a contractor, they're a mercenary, man. Whoever's paying the most or whoever has the most work gets the most attention. And sometimes it takes a little effort to get people back on focus, back on target. But that's what being a good agency owner is, being a project manager and making sure things get done. And it's really, really interesting to me culturally to see how people do things and the difference in like mail. I mean, there's certain work, like when you take in the work, you have to go, well, wait a minute, is it culturally insulting for me to give this job to someone in this region?
Right.
And you have to be emotional intelligence. You have to be cognizant of what am I asking this person to actually do? And then execute accordingly.
I've got a story we could end on potentially. So I had a lead come in. They run a porno magazine website, a very legit business based in Minnesota here, just a husband and wife. They just sell magazines. They're a magazine company that delivers magazines. That's all. But it's porno magazines. And so I'm conversing, really nice people, all this, At the same time, I had an offer I think I had just started working with my SEO guy. And I sent him this. I was like, hey, I need you to write up a proposal for this. And it didn't occur to me to think through any moral implications. But then I didn't hear from him for 2 days or something. And I was like, wait a second. I just scared him off with this porno. Ended up being, I talked to him. I go, I'm sorry if I offended you. We don't have. And he was like, oh, no. I got my wife was in the hospital. It had nothing to do with the porno max. But yeah, you do have to be careful sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's just certain work, and think about it, could be totally innocuous to you and I. Like maybe you take on a client that's like, we only process hooven animals for natural meat or something, right? And then you send it off to somebody who's like, I'm vegan or halal or however you want to describe things, and they go, I can't do that kind of work. But unfortunately, we as Americans doling out our work on a global basis, we unknowingly sometimes put ourselves on a pedestal and people feel intimidated or forced to have to do the work we ask them to do. But that's not the case. I can always find someone else to do. I very politely turned down a job yesterday. I actually sent them a proposal in writing that told them why I was turning down the job. It was like, hey, you gave me access to your website. That's great. You use this for hosting. You use this for a theme. You have these custom post types in your website, and you've already verbally said you don't want to change those things. So based on these factors, we're out. We're just not doing this. If you want to restart, this is what you'd be looking at for a refresh. And there's no shame in that, right? But I don't think we give people, offshore people especially, that same latitude to make decisions like that. And so I'm very clear with people I work with. Like, hey, if there's a project that you're not content with, happy with, you can't get behind, you can't give me 100% of your whatever, just let us know. And I never make the assumption they're going to give me 100% of anything because it's not their business.
Right.
It's my business. So it's working with people and really understanding their motivations, I think, is a really big deal.
Great. On that note, happy 4th of July, everyone. It'll be August 6th when you hear this. But Kurt, where can people get in touch with you?
LinkedIn. I'm the only Kurt Von Ahnen on LinkedIn, so I'm easy to find. And then for business, Mañana No Mas. You?
Great. I'm at Toby Cryns, Cryns. That's on LinkedIn as well. And you can email me there. TheMightyMo.com is my business. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the WP Minute, part of the Matt Report Media Network. This episode wouldn't be possible without our amazing pillar sponsors, Pressable, Kinsta, GoDaddy, 20i, and Elementor. These brands are supporting WordPress media and helping us invest in your future as a WordPress professional. Our Foundation Plus sponsors like Hostinger, Big Scoots, Stellar WP, Personalized WP, Weglot, and Patchstack help us keep the lights on. Thanks to all of our members in the WP Minute Slack channel, which you can join too. Head on over to thewpminute.com/support to get access. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to hit the share button or tell a friend about this podcast. See you in the next one.